2023年粤港澳大湾区车展，揽胜、卫士、发现、捷豹4大品牌全系车型亮相。本次车展SUV 界的艺术品，全新揽胜星脉迎来了正式上市，全新路虎发现运动版在车展上迎来了中国首发。而这次我们也非常荣幸地邀请到了捷豹路虎首席外观设计师安森尼先生。我和子通呢，就带着大家关心的问题，和这位一线设计大师聊了聊他对于设计这件事的理解，以及设计捷豹路虎车型背后的故事。
安森尼先生您好，我的第一个问题是，对您而言，就是什么样的设计是好的设计
？One thing to remember, there is no single answer for car design, and I think that's what makes car design very rich and very engaging and very exciting for a lot of people. My personal taste is sometimes different to what our customers' taste is. And so I think the exciting thing for me in terms of design is the challenge of having to put yourself in a position where you're but key for us with Range Rover, in fact all of our vehicles, is proportion and stance. So we spend a great amount of time getting the proportions just right on our cars, because I think that's the fundamental building block of good design. So you get them right, and the rest of it is relatively simple.
我的第二个问题是，捷豹路虎的设计您觉得它最难的部分是在哪里
？Well, it also comes down to the individual designers. If you're asking an interior guy, what's the hardest thing? He'd probably say exterior. It's in a sense the challenge for the designers is, like I said, is to try and put yourself in the position of the client, and then specifically for Range Rover, often the challenge is to not do the design work, to leave out the things that you want to do, to especially with our modernist reductionism, it's the restraint and what you don't put in which are key to the brand. Now that sounds really counterintuitive, but again, you have to exercise a real sense of self-control and just take time and concentrate on the things that are very important. And like I said, once you get them right, then you can bring the rest in.
第三个问题是，在汽车设计里您是如何平衡设计和功能性的？
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things to do. We're not in the business of creating art. The things we create have to be functional. They have to satisfy customer requirement. And very often the shape of the car will be driven a little bit by those requirements. We use the phrase form follows function. Things need to happen in a certain way in order for them to work well. What vehicles are uniquely, I guess, in terms of the spirit, is they're separate from consumer products. They have an emotion. There's something about vehicles specifically where owners connect emotionally with their vehicles. Now, as a designer, we've got to find that spirit very early on in the character of the vehicle. And then we have to work out how, in terms of productionizing and engineering that vehicle, how we keep that spirit and don't allow it to water down.
我的第四个问题就是捷豹路虎在未来的新能源方向上会有哪样的设计语言做一些创新？
I think we need to stay true to our brand. So when we talk about design language, let's just say that there will be flexibility. There will be things that electrification enable us to do, more so than maybe internal combustion engines. So I think we're at a turning point now, which from a designer's point of view is quite exciting. But in all of that, we have to temper that kind of ability to change with the things that we need to do to protect the brand. Now you can also factor into electrification the things that are also going to be required outside of the design world, which will include things like legislation, etc., pedestrian impact requirements, crash requirements, all of that. So as we move forward through the electrification phase, it's going to be interesting to see how we can play those factors against each other, with each other, to try and enable creativity for the brand. But I think fundamentally, what we will be delivering is a sort of modern electric version of the Range Rover brand. In terms of Range Rover, that'll be the key message that we send through. That'll be the same for Defender and Discovery and Jaguar. They'll still be the essence of those vehicles.
我的第5个问题是，如果想一个词来形容全新的揽胜星脉的话，您觉得会是哪个词？
Elegant. I think that's the one thing when I look at the Velar, we've caught the poise just right. You could bring in its sportiness, you know, because it has quite a purposeful stance, and the proportion of the glass house to the body side gives it a kind of, you say, like a stately appearance. But I think what we've done very, very carefully is get the cabin just in the right position, and I think it's just got that perfect balance of sports and formality, which make it really elegant.
您认为汽车设计未来的发展趋势是哪样的？
Technology is going to be something that drives car design. We know this. I think we are seeing a lot of environmental pressures. We are seeing social changes. We are seeing all sorts of external factors that are going to drive the design of the car. So I think it's going to be, maybe we're entering a phase now which is less about styling and aesthetics and more about a more complete picture for the vehicle in terms of its sustainability. In terms of what future trends I see, I think for our brands, probably for Range Rover, it's probably the key for all of us is maybe automation and technology and enabling that kind of reductive design that we talk about, where effectively the real luxury of our vehicles is a sense of relaxation and space and time, and these are things that, you know, can't be drawn. These are feelings that we have to create through the product that we deliver. So I think that's probably the future for us. It's the how technology will allow us to do these things.
Have you paid attention to some of the new Chinese car brands?
Yes, I have. Yes, I've had opportunities in the past to visit China, and this is my 3rd trip. The brands were, I will say, I'm just absolutely amazed by everything I see. So there's some really, really strong vehicles being developed, and yeah, it doesn't cease to amaze me. There's some really competent design work, but what I'm most impressed by is the pace and the execution, and I think I sense a sense fun. So I think the guys that, you know, and the other brands that I see around the hall are enjoying themselves, and you can see that in the products they're developing.
As a designer, how do you keep having ideas? I used to major in music composition, so I used to write a lot of music, but I know sometimes the idea just runs out, it just drains. Then how do you keep on just doing what you do?
The same fear exists for a designer as for writers, anyone creative. They always run the risk of having that block, you know, that stops you working. And I think the key to it is making sure that you surround yourself with influence. You know, that you're always absorbing influence from your surroundings, from other products that you see, people that you meet. And we're very lucky, I think, in Jaguar Land Rover, where we have a really strong team of designers, really diverse team from all around the globe, and each of them bring new stories. So I think the key to remaining creatives is to just keep thinking, to keep engaging, and it's also important to do that because it keeps you relevant, it keeps your work relevant.
Okay, last question from me. As a car designer yourself, what car do you drive? What cars do you own?
So I consider myself a petrol head, because what got me into the business was, you know, even as a small child, chasing cars up and down the street. Yeah, I don't own any classic cars, I'm afraid. I aspire to. But I do like motorbikes, and I have a few of them. So probably way too many.
So you only ride motorbikes?
Oh no, I drive a car.
Right.
Well, what I would say is working for Jaguar Land Rover gives me the opportunity to drive our product. So I'm really fortunate to be able to drive our cars, and so I'm experiencing the product. That's the main thing. But
that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and at the moment, I guess my box in terms of petrol head is being ticked, because I've got an F-Type at the moment, which it's a great car, you know, and it's visceral, and I think for me, you know, the noise and smell and all of those senses are heightened by the vehicle.
Is it pre-2020, the old style, or the
new one?
The new one.
Yeah.
I love the new design, by the way.
I quite like it as well.
Yeah, I love it way better than the old one.
Well, I know the guy who did the old one, so I'll let him know that.
Well, I didn't say anything.
No, but the thing, I guess, for me, the interesting thing with car design and the future is that guys like me who got into it because of the visceral connection with motors, you know, with engines, with petrol, the smell, we've had to do a lot of soul searching to understand what do we like about the future, what do electric cars mean to us. And I was lucky to work on I-Pace, and I felt the connection to the product. Oddly, I got in that car and straight away I got the whole electric thing. I'm already sold by electric, by the way. So
really?
Yeah.
As a petrol head?
Yeah, as a driver, I found I was more capable in an electric car. I'm not a race driver, but I always felt a little bit distracted by the noise of the engines. And when I was driving the electric vehicles, I was probably getting more out of the vehicle in terms of fun, you know, driver engagement.
相比于很多还在寻找自己独特辨识度的新品牌，既有着现代美学，又有着典雅气度的全新揽胜星脉和全新路虎发现运动版，在传承家族设计基因又探索未来设计方向上，组出了独属于自己的新现代豪华中。最后呢，机会难得，我也带着我的画稿给安森尼先生过目。他说，语言之外，画稿完全可以是不同语言设计师交流的载体。他呢，透过画稿感受到我对于汽车设计的热情。专访的时光呢，总是短暂的，希望未来能有更多机会为大家带来越来越多设计师的访谈节目。我是魏 Sir，咱下期再见。